First on four, nearly 3 dozen parents across One Valley County have been swept up in a joint law enforcement effort to punish moms and dads who don't pay up.
Bad boys and girls, what you gonna do? We're talking about child support payments. Some are behind by tens of thousands of dollars. Tonight, the warning for all those deadbeats.
The answer is we get a lot of money from the federal government. I don't know the exact percentage, but obviously it's a large amount of money. And obviously there's a lot of strings attached to it. My office, a lot of our child support money, 2/3 of our child support money comes from the federal government. So, you know, we're dealing with that on a constant basis. They have their own rules that you have to follow to get the money, but you know, those have been in place for a long time. Whether you want to walk away from, you know, I don't know what percentage, 30-40% of our budget coming from federal government, I'm guessing, but it's a lot.
Results are in from a multi-county sweep targeting parents who failed to pay court-ordered child support. Authorities report 97 arrested people now who are wanted for contempt of court for not paying up. The roundup began Saturday, ended Wednesday in most counties, but here in Travis County, it'll continue through the end of today. 22 people were arrested in Bell County, 12 in Hayes County, 15 in Williamson, and as of yesterday morning, 48 parents had been arrested in Travis. If you owe back child support, you're encouraged to call the Attorney General's office to make some payment arrangements.
Make sure that it was constitutional. Make sure that it was constitutional.
Please repeat after me. I, Ken Paxton, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of Attorney General for the State of Texas, and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States and of this state. So help me God.
Section 22. The Attorney General shall represent the state in all suits and pleas in the Supreme Court of the state in which the state may be a party, and shall especially inquire into the charter rights of all private corporations, and from time to time, in the name of the state, take such action in the courts as may be proper and necessary to prevent any private corporation from exercising any power or demanding or collecting any species of taxes, tolls, freight, or wharfage not authorized by law. Shall, whenever sufficient cause exists, seek a judicial forfeiture of such charters, unless otherwise expressly directed by law, and give legal advice in writing to the governor and other executive officers, when requested by them, and perform such other duties as may be required by law.
With their own authority, so we stay away from doing things that are policy related, or things that other branches of government are supposed to do. You know, my job is to follow my authority. So we're mostly a civil law firm.
In Wehunt versus Ledbetter, the 11th Circuit Court held that when Congress fixes the terms on which it shall disburse federal money to the state, it is much in the nature of a contract. In return for federal funds, the states agree to comply with federally imposed conditions. The legitimacy of Congress's power to legislate under the spending power thus rests on whether the state voluntarily and knowingly accepts the terms of the contract. There can, of course, be no knowing acceptance if a state is unaware of the conditions or is unable to ascertain what is expected of it. Accordingly, if Congress intends to impose a condition on the grant of federal monies, it must do so unambiguously.
The first contract is between the federal government and Texas under 31 U.S.C. Section 6305. An executive agency shall use a contract as the legal instrument reflecting a relationship between the United States government and a state, a local government, or other recipient when 1. The principal purpose of the relationship is to transfer a thing of value to the state, local government, or other recipient for the direct benefit or use of the United States government.
The answer is we get a lot of money from the federal government. I don't know the exact percentage, but obviously it's a large amount of money. obviously there's a lot of strings attached to it. 2/3 of our child support money comes from the federal government. They have their own rules that you have to follow to get the money.
Tetris.
Article 1, Section 1, Freedom and Sovereignty of State. Texas is a free and independent state, subject only to the Constitution of the United States, and the maintenance of our free institutions and the perpetuity of the Union depend upon the preservation of the right of local self-government, unimpaired to all the states. Sovereignty is the supreme, absolute, and uncontrollable power by which any independent state is governed. Paramount control of the Constitution and the international independence of a state, combined with the right and power of regulating its internal affairs without foreign dictation. The United States government is a foreign corporation with respect to a state. Corpus Juris Secundum Corporations, Section 883. Therefore, under the contract, Texas has by default waived its sovereign immunity, freedom, and independence. As in Wehunt versus Ledbetter, in return for federal funds, the states agree to comply with federally imposed conditions. Sovereigns don't comply with conditions, they issue them. Under the 31 U.S.C. Section 6305 contract, Paxton represents the federal OCSE within the U.S. DHHS, not the state of Texas. He is prohibited from holding two civil offices of emolument under Article 16, Section 40 of the Constitution for the state of Texas. Again, he has no immunity and he can be sued for deprivation of rights under color of law.
My bitch better have my money.
Under 42 U.S.C. Section 654(3), the Secretary required Texas to designate an alone, detached, and disconnected organizational unit to administer the 4D program. This, of course, was placed within the OAG, who under the contract is an umbrella agency that is employer to agency contractors who work on a fixed contract assignment under federal terms. This is Paxton's lower pimp, Ruth and Thornton. She is the madam of the 4D program operating in Texas within the OAG. She has no immunity, and she can be sued for deprivation of rights under color of law, color of office, and color of authority, not to mention oppression. The second contract is under 45 CFR Section 302.34. The state plan requires that the state will enter into contracts, which are reflected in a record under 45 CFR Section 303.107 terms with appropriate courts, clerk of courts, sheriff's office, and corrections officials. They shall provide for assistance to the 4D agency in carrying out the program. The contracts require reimbursement to clerk of courts, sheriff's office, and corrections officials for their assistance. Section 231.001. The Office of the Attorney General is designated as the state's Title 4D agency. A. The 4D agency shall have final approval authority on any contract or proposal for delivery of 4D services under this section in coordination with the Federal Office of Child Support Enforcement. The Texas Judicial Council, the Office of Court Administration of the Texas Judicial System, and state, county, and local officials. This is the required 45 CFR Section 302.34 contract used in Texas. It's signed by the judge and the lower pimp and terminates any immunity and is the perfect evidence for prosecuting and obtaining remedy for your lawsuit. Under the contract, it is expressly understood and agreed by the parties that the county is an independent contractor that shall have exclusive responsibility for any and all claims, demands, cause of action of every kind and character which may be asserted by a third party occurring from 4D activities performed. This means the county has no immunity and that you may sue them for deprivation of your rights under the color of law. This next clip shows the treachery of Texas knows no bounds. This man is not a judge. These people are not in a court of law. This is a 4D hearing initiated by the 4D crime family from a purchase of service contract from the court.
So, I'm going to base child support on what I know the area is. Child support in this case is going to be $630 a month plus an additional $125 a month in cash medical. Those payments will begin October the 1st of 2022. Mr. Marshall will also be assessed a retroactive child support judgment in the amount of $3,850. He'll pay that back at a rate of $40 a month, Ms. Leonard. That payment also beginning October the 1st of 2022. Mr. Marshall will be responsible for the court costs for the filing of this suit as per the law, but I'll give him until March 31st of 2023 to pay my court costs. Mr. Marshall and Ms. Wood, what's going to happen now is the state's going to send me a court order. As long as it matches what I said here today, I'm going to sign it, send it back to them. Then they're going to make copies of it and send it to each of you. You don't have to be satisfied with my ruling today.
A lot of times people want my office to do things that we don't have the authority to do. And I've spent a lot of my career fighting government that is doing things that they're not supposed to do.
State sweeps take place about 4 times a year in the county, but deputies with child support enforcement work every day, they say, to arrest those who owe money.
Make sure that it was constitutional. Make sure that it was constitutional.
These are the faces of shame. They're fathers who've been jailed in Cameron County for failing to pay child support.
Cameron County does not tolerate deadbeat dads.
The Sheriff's Department's 3-day roundup with the Texas Attorney General's office ended Thursday with the arrests of 34 deadbeats.
Make sure that it was constitutional. A lot of times people want my office to do things that we don't have the authority to do. And I've spent a lot of my career fighting government that is doing things that they're not supposed to do.
The message tonight, then, to deadbeat dads or deadbeat moms is what?
Pay up or go to jail.
A choice that ultimately leads to an unpleasant view.
Paxton's Democratic opponent, Rochelle Garza, responded on Twitter, calling Paxton a coward and saying, "Run, Ken, run."
Hotep, I am the Amen Osiris, the one and only undisputed God of law. We are Deception Stoppers, America's only 4D education service. I'm not a lawyer. This is not a law firm. We don't advocate that you don't support your human offspring. We simply advocate that you made them in private, take care of them in private. I hope that you learned something. This video goes out to the God Kings in Texas. Okay? Start suing these people. They have no immunity. Trust me. And it's easy to prove. All you need is their contract. If you have any questions, bang my email at hathornsec@gmail.com. All right, to get some learning materials and some Title 4D materials, go to our new website, 4dterminator.com, and hit the resource library, and everything you need is right there for you to defeat the 4D crime family. All right, it's time, fellas. I done gave it to you. I'm giving it to you. What you gonna do with it? Stop whining and complaining, all right, and start cracking necks. Hotep.